Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be covering another crime story. Before we even begin to talk about anything, I'm going to go ahead and put up my fair use warning now, as well as my trigger warning. This story is extremely triggering. We'll be talking about children in this video as well. So if you are easily triggered, please click off now. There are so many different scenarios that can take place in the moment of a breakup. Anything really can happen. It's almost like a gamble. In the moment of the breakup, you really don't know what to expect. You don't know whether this person that you once loved, respected, and cared about, you don't know if they're going to just go ahead and walk away from the situation, or are they going to linger? Are they going to still hold on? Or are they going to do something to get back at you? Well, Faith Green of Dearborn, Michigan was hoping for those results. She was hoping that, he would walk away. She knew he would be angry, but she didn't think he would do the unthinkable.
I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied with the outcome. There's no punishment that fits the crime. Not even torture and death would be justice. Your justice will come when you burn in hell for all eternity, for murdering 4 innocent children, all because you're insecure as a man. Plus the other 2 lives you took. You are a con artist, you are a monster, you are a devil in disguise. You are now forever exposed. I've thought over and over again what I would say, even though it doesn't even matter. First of all, I am not and did not and will not suffer like you intended for me to do. What you tried to do didn't work. I am and was a damn great mother to all of my children. I was their mother and father. I'm the one who took out the time with each and every one of them. I taught them how to do things as well as people in my family and friends. I taught Chadney how to treat a woman with respect, how to fill out a job application, mock interviews, how to pay bills, encouraging him to give his all in his schooling, producing movies, and his drawings. He was a great artist. He graduated from Specs Howard for digital media arts. He wanted to be a producer to make movies. I taught Kara to stay focused, aim high. I showed her how to drive, how a young lady is to carry herself in an orderly manner. Be all that you can be. Try out for everything that you're interested in doing. Pursuing higher education. We were filling out college applications. She wanted to be an OBGYN doctor. She was going to graduate this year from high school. I taught Coy to be open to new things like learning a new language, be confident in doing her schoolwork and in herself. She loved doing arts and crafts with me, letting her imagination run wild. She loved dressing up and putting on my high heels. She would make me laugh, looking at me over her glasses, like a little old lady. She loved ballet, cheerleading, and planting flowers with me. My Kaylee had the greatest memory. She loved singing. She loved to carry her purse, which was always filled with hand sanitizer and lip gloss. She loved getting her nails painted and sometimes doing it herself. She also loved ballet and cheerleading. She loved balloons and playing outside. I taught them to be giving, loving, and respectful, to help others, to volunteer. They were not selfish children. Coy and Kaylee were learning about kids less fortunate than themselves. I took them with me to purchase items for Christmas and explained to them what we were doing to make them happy. I always encouraged them and told them that they can do anything they put their minds to do. Those are the lives that you took. You tried to separate them from each other. They are siblings who loved each other and spent time with one another. Trying to split them up didn't work. They are together more than ever. Chadney and Kara are still watching over the little sisters, Coy and Kaylee, forever. I carried each one of them in my womb for 9 months and raised them. Nothing or no one, sure as hell not you, can break me or break my bond with them. But while I stand up here trembling with fear, I put on my bravest face to be in the same room with the man who murdered all 4 of my children. 2 of them violently in front of me with a gun, Chadney and Kara. And he killed my other 2 babies, Coy and Kaylee, with a hose that ran from the tailpipe of his car to where they were innocently sleeping. As if that wasn't enough, let me tell you about some of the devastation that it has actually done to me and my family. My short-term memory is gone. Doctors tell me it's my brain protecting me from the memories of my children being shot in their heads right in front of me, while I was gagged, duct-taped, and zip-tied. Every time I find strength to get out of bed, as soon as I walk, I'm in extreme pain, sharp pain, from where he shot me in my foot. They don't know if I'll ever walk again without pain. Think about that for a second. Never being able to again to walk without pain. My doctors say I have post-traumatic stress disorder. That's where the migraines and nightmares come from. Sometimes I dream of the night all this happened and wake up screaming and sweating, thinking that I can save my children somehow. Then I realize that the nightmare is actually reality and my children are really gone, and I try to find the strength to start my day somehow. Other times, there's just crazy nightmares that I wake up from in fear and try to understand them, but I'm told that they all link back to this horrific experience I have had. I can't think of the last time I really rested without medication. I can still feel the zip ties around my wrist, and it triggers horrible memories of that night. There's times I find myself drifting off into thought and then realize I'm not thinking of anything. I'm empty, lost, I'm lost, not really knowing what to do with myself, just existing day to day. I miss my children so much that words will never be able to explain. All I ever wanted to be was a mother, a wife, have a happy family, raise my children to be productive members of society, and be happy. The reality I face now is this will never happen for me. Time will never heal this wound. I will always be empty. A part of me will always be missing. If the day ever comes when I do wake up, and it's not the first thing that I think about, when I look in the mirror, I will always be reminded by the scars he put on my face, cutting me from my ears to my chin with a razor blade box cutter. The pain on the left side of my face never goes away. He cut me so deep that it severed multiple nerves that may never heal correctly. I lost so much blood. I was in critical condition for days. I should have died. Some days I wish I would have. He has scarred me for life. My whole family is devastated emotionally by what has happened. But it has extremely been hard on my parents. They love their grandchildren with all their hearts. Most days my mother has a hard time getting out of bed and has been in the hospital a few times. But my father is taking it the hardest. He's not the same person he once was. The stress has taken a toll on his health. 2 weeks ago, he was taken to the hospital because he had a stroke. I honestly don't know where to go. From here, I'm numb. There's a hole in my heart and soul that can never be repaired. The loss to me is so big that I will never truly recover for the rest of my life. I will be forever in pain and heartbreak. This wound will never heal. This wound will never heal. I would like to thank the court and you, Your Honor, for the time you have allowed me to speak. I would like to thank the prosecutor's office and staff and all the police officers who helped in this case. In closing, I understand the recommendation of the sentence, but I would like to recommend, as a victim myself and the mother of all 4 murdered children, life in prison without the chance of parole. Thank you. Faith Green.
Thank you.
During the early morning hours of September 21st, 2016, Faith Green's worst nightmare became a reality as she witnessed her children get murdered before she was attacked. But let's take a look back at a time where Faith was just 14 years old and Gregory was actually married to someone else. Faith and Gregory met at Faith's father's church called New Risen Christ Ministries in Dearborn, Michigan. They bumped into each other a few times and eventually developed a pretty close friendship. So she met this man when she was 14, but there was a gap in the relationship, or the friendship, I should say. It wasn't until she was 30 when she actually saw him again. When Faith first met Gregory, he was married to Tanya Green. In 1991, at the time of Tanya's death, Gregory Green was married to her for about 2 years. She was, at that time, 6 months pregnant with their first child. And friends reported saying that she was planning on leaving Gregory, citing his change in behavior as the reason the relationship was no longer viable. Before Tanya could leave, Green stabbed her 10 times with a steak knife, killing both her and their unborn child. Tanya Green's 2 young children were also in the house that day, but they were unharmed in the attack. Gregory then decides to call 911 and confess to what he had done. When his case came to trial in 1992, he initially pleaded an insanity defense and then no contest to second-degree murder. He was convicted and given a 15 to 25-year sentence. During his 16 years in prison, he was denied parole 4 times before being granted release in 2008. The parole board felt as if he demonstrated little emotion or remorse, and he had a lack of empathy. He also could never explain the reason for his murderous rage. While in prison, Green was essentially a perfect prisoner with only one minor fight with another prisoner on his record in the whole 16 years he was locked up. He did not get involved in any violence within the prison, and he didn't argue with authority. He followed the rules and kept his head down and kept it pushing. There was only one reason why Gregory Green was released early and granted parole. He had a minister write a letter for him. Let's pause and take a quick listen to Faith Green reading the letter that her father sent in to the parole board that subsequently helped this man go free.
This is a letter that my dad wrote when Greg was up for parole. And this is something that I knew nothing about until after my case had passed. It says, "Dear Parole Board, I greet you in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I'm writing this letter in support of Gregory Green. Gregory was attending our church before he was sentenced to prison. While interacting with Gregory, I've noticed a great deal of growth, and his understanding has matured quite a bit. If he was to be released, he would be welcome as a part of our church community, and whatever we could do to help him adjust, we would. It does hurt. I don't even know how to feel about my dad. I'm not here to bash him or anything. At this point in my life, I don't really deal with my dad. I don't really know how I should feel about him."
After serving 16 years, Gregory was released. And once he was released, he started attending Fred's church again. Fred is Faith's father. After Faith and Gregory reconnected, they moved in together and married in December 2010. The two had 2 daughters, Coy and Kaylee. In addition, Faith had 2 children, Chadney and Kara, from a previous relationship. Faith Green talked about Gregory's mood swings and erratic behavior. She did leave him in the past, but always ended up going back. Records showed Faith filed for divorce 3 times, including about a month before the incident. About 3 years prior to that incident, she asked for a protection order against Gregory. She wrote a statement saying, "We're filing for divorce. He's being belligerent, kicking things. He kicked the couch while the baby was sleeping on it, just kicking things, threatening and saying to me, if I don't leave, things are going to get ugly. Jumping at me like he was going to attack. This went on for hours." And that is a quote directly from Faith Green. She missed so many warning signs and red flags unless she saw them and just wanted to look past them. thinking that the unimaginable would never happen to her or her family. Kara saw the warning signs, though, and she recorded or wrote down every incident that took place.
This is Kara's diary. On this page, it says, I don't like Greg. Mom's obsessed with him. Something doesn't seem right about Greg. And they're talking about getting married. I don't want to call him dad. It's like everyone loves him but me. It just doesn't seem like he's, I can't even explain it. I never knew, this is how she felt.
That baby knew what type of monster her mother was dealing with. She was able to see what the mom couldn't. But on September 21st, 2016, things were different. Faith said Gregory woke her up in the middle of the night and forced her into the living room. Then she was bound with zip ties along with Chadney and Kara. Gregory then instructed the three of them to go into the basement. Let's listen in Faith's own words as to what happened that night. I'm giving my trigger warning again. Please click off if you're easily triggered.
I remember hearing the gun cock. But he didn't do anything. I think he was thinking about shooting me, but he didn't. I think what he was doing was trying to build himself up to do this. Then he says to me, do you want to see the girls? So I'm shaking my head, yes, I want to see them. I thought the girls were safe while this was going on. I just thought they were still in their bed sleeping. And next thing I know, he immediately shot my daughter 2 times. I remember screaming. She looked at me like, Mom, and then it was just, her spitting up blood, gurgling, then she turned her head, and it's like, you never forget that sound, like gasping for air and not being able to do anything. There was nothing I can do because we're all tied up. There was no way for me to move or try to do anything. Then at some point he shot my son, and I remember my son just saying, ow, and then rolling over, and he never moved again, never said anything. Then that's when he raised the gun to me. He shot me in my foot. I didn't feel that shot, but he shot at me a second time. That's what I felt. I felt the burn. And then the next thing I know, he came to me and held my face and slashed me from side to side with the box cutter. I remember seeing blood squirt, feeling just a whole bunch of warmth. And it was just kind of like, you're in shock. But I think my body just went into immediate shutdown. The only thing I felt was the warmth of the blood, soaking through my clothes. He threw the box cutter down, and he sat the gun on a stool, and then I could hear him calling 911.
Gregory, what's going on? Yes, I killed some people in my family.
Tell me what happened.
I shot Kara and Chadney. My 2 stepkids, they're both dead.
I remember just laying there, leaning back, holding my breath. It felt like the longest hours in my life, even though it wasn't that long.
And my wife, thanks to her, I did what I did. She's a piece of work. She kept pushing me.
Next thing I know, the police are knocking on the door. They're announcing themselves, saying, this is the police. If anybody's here, let me know. And I'm like, I'm here. And they're like, come up. I'm like, I can't. I was like, he has me tied up.
She was the only one that survived. I cut her up. I cut her face.
Somebody came, and I remember there was a guy there trying to take the duct tape and the zip ties off, and then he was trying to find out where I was bleeding from and trying to stop it, but they couldn't really tell because there was so much blood. And then they put me in the EMS truck and took me to the hospital.
I just want to tell myself, man, I know I'm going to prison for the rest of my life, and I deserve that. I felt overwhelmed and anger turned into hatred. you know, for her. There's so many things that had driven me to do what I did. I didn't want to. I tried to fight. I just got fed up.
Faith did not know the totality of what Gregory had done until she woke up in the hospital. And then she was told that all 4 of her children were dead. Chadney, 19, and Kara, 17, both gunned down in front of her. Coy was 5 and Kaylee was 4. They were picked up out of their beds while they were asleep and placed in a car where he decided to take a hose and run it from the tailpipe, killing them from monoxide poisoning. The brutal nature of the crime shocked everyone. Despite Gregory's previous murder conviction, the authorities learned that he worked for the city's water department and the airport in the past. Ultimately, in February 2017, a tearful Gregory pled guilty to several charges. He was convicted of 4 counts of second-degree murder, torture, assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder, and felony firearm. The following month, then at that time 50-year-old Gregory Green was sentenced to serve at least 47 years behind bars. Prison records indicate that he remains incarcerated at Gus Harrison Correctional Facility in Adrian, Michigan. The earliest he can be released is in 2063. Faith's recovery was hard. She had to deal with short-term memory loss and migraines, in addition to post-traumatic stress disorder and nightmares. Faith talked about missing her children every day, and she's still coping with the terrible loss. While Faith sometimes did wish to have died that night, she now hoped to keep her kids' legacy alive. Faith now resides in Southfield, Michigan, and continues to recover from her ordeal. It's very clear to me what he tried to do and accomplish. He was determined to hurt her in the worst way. He took away what she loved the most, her children. And he knew that she couldn't have any more kids. So ultimately, she was just left alone.
Deepest sympathy. We love you, Apostles Terrence and Victoria Blunt.
Faith Green has tried to read every single one of the hundreds of cards and handwritten letters sent to her during the past 2 years.
Actually, I had to have my family help read a lot of them because it was hard to read them. It's emotional. It's still hard.
Life has not gotten easier. She lives every second with the mental, emotional, and physical scars left by her husband, and she can't stop thinking about her 4 children.
I miss them so much, and it's hard to go on when you see people with their kids, and then if you have to go to the store, it's like you try to hurry up and pass the clothes because then it's like, oh, I would have bought that for them, and then it's like, people may say oh, she's smiling, she looks okay, but really I'm not. I don't know, I gotta go on,
How are you doing? I mean, you mentioned the short-term memory loss.
Honestly, I have a lot of bad days. My depression has gotten worse. I used to didn't believe those commercials where they say depression hurts. It really hurts. There's days I cannot get up. I have to kind of pep talk myself. It's it's a hard day. It's hard. This year is worse than last year.
Worse because as time passes, the reality of what happened is slowly sinking in. One of the things that keeps her going is the outpouring of support she's received from all over the world.
I did write something to tell everybody. I'm sorry.
Take your time. Take your time.
I just wanted to take this time out to say thank you to everyone that donated in any way to help my family and I during the tragedy we gone through. So many people wrote letters, sent flowers, visited me, and prepared food.
Well, you couldn't possibly write everybody back that wrote you.
No, I wanted to, but it was just every time I thought about it, I'm just like, oh my God, it's overwhelming, and I didn't want people to think like I forgot about them or because they reached out to me and helped me.
As she tries to heal, her focus is also on helping others. She's holding a memorial this Sunday in honor of her children. It's a celebration where she's also raising money for scholarships.
I hope that it helps somebody else that lost a child, whether it's to murder or disease. When you lose a child, I can't even explain it. Once you're a mom and you give birth, that connection, and it's a hard thing to deal with. It's very hard, whether it's one, whether it's four, it's very hard, and it's like, I don't know if you ever really come to the realization of it.
Well, we've come to the close of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed my content. If you take anything away from this video, it would be to see and always see the warning signs, always see the red flags, and always listen to your kids. Always remember, if you see something, say something. And they do have a National Domestic Violence Hotline that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you'll know anytime I premiere or go live. Remember to be kind to one another. Have a good night.
Hey, it's me, unapologetically got enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. Hey, it's me, unapologetically got enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. It's me, unapologetically got Hey, it's me, unapologetically got Hey, it's me, unapologetically got enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. Hey, it's me, unapologetically got enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe.